Hello and welcome to Let's Play Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader with me, Bregaton. Rogue Trader was both developed and published by Owlcat Games, the same developer that brought us Pathfinder Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous. Its release date is December 7th, 2023, and it is a CRPG set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and is based on the Rogue Trader tabletop rule set. So, I've been heavily invested, and I mean heavily invested, in Warhammer 40,000 for a little over 20 years, reading the books and playing the video games. And I've been playing CRPGs for even longer than that. So I've been waiting for a game like this for quite a while. And it's safe to say this is one of my most anticipated titles of all time. So before I jump into new game, a disclaimer. The rest of this episode will be nothing but character creation. I'm going to go through and create my character and read every detail pertaining to said character. So if that's not your bag of beans, feel free to skip ahead into the next episode where we will jump into the action and the campaign proper. But for now, new game. The main story. Take up the mantle of a rogue trader, the scion of an ancient dynasty of daring privateers that reign over their trade protectorate, and explore the fringes of the known galaxy. Darkness looms over the bloodline of Von Valancius, as it faces multiple threats from within its own ranks and without, as countless enemies seek to destroy the most daring and brave agents of humanity. It is up to you to hold the reins of this shattered protectorate, and forge a new path for the Von Valancius dynasty, currently finding itself in a vortex of wars, intrigues, calamities, and heresy. The stakes are high and rise even higher as you cross paths with terrifyingly powerful and ambitious adversaries in the darkness of the Cronus Expanse. So I will be playing on Daring. It's my favorite difficulty because everything's zeroed out, enemies don't get buffs like they do on Hard and above, and you don't get buffs like you do on Normal and below. Everything is fair. So for Daring, enemy stats including wounds and dodge are not reduced. Enemies inflict full damage. The party's momentum gains are not scaled. Minimum damage for party members is 0 or 10%, whichever is greater, after all modifiers have been applied. Party members' resolve is equal to its base value. The chance to hit cover when shooting at enemies is equal to its base chance. A party member receives an injury if they receive damage that is equal to or higher than 50% of their total wounds in one round. And of course, this difficulty is not recommended for players not familiar with the Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader system, of which I am partially guilty. And of course, we will create a custom character. Create your very own Rogue Trader from scratch. The possibilities are endless when it comes to customizing your character and choosing their homeworld, gender, and background. You can also choose from a wide variety of abilities and skills, such as combat skills, social skills, and technical skills. These abilities and skills determine how your character interacts with the world, and what kind of challenges they can overcome. Finally, you can choose your character's archetype. Each archetype path offers its own unique set of opportunities and challenges, so choose wisely. With all of these customization options at your fingertips, you can create a rogue trader that is truly one of a kind, and embark on an adventure unlike any other in the world or galaxy of Warhammer 40,000. First up is appearance. So I have gone through this and kind of mapped out my character already. This is the portrait we'll be taking, but there are some really good options here. I'm a huge fan of this one. This one. This one's pretty cool as well, but definitely going to go with the Commissar. For appearance, I believe it's face 14, with the heroic jawline. We're going to go with the large body type. It looks a little silly right here, but once we get some clothes on, it's going to look pretty good. Stick with that skin tone. I'm going to go with a closer haircut. Normally I'd go for this, but since I am playing a Commissar, I think that's a little more fitting. And we'll go with more of a black-gray hair color. Since I myself am about 50% gray, I will stick with these eyebrows, but change the color. And go with this beard, and of course change the color. No tattoos, No augmentations, though there are some cool options here.
Macro cannons, volley!
We have purified the battlefield of the
Lance batteries, volley!
whispers. Guide my hand.
Watch this spectacle unfold!
To arms!
I'm going with the pragmatic male. One, I think it sounds the best, and two, it reminds me a lot of the voice lines from Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War, specifically the Imperial Guard units. Now we get to choose our homeworld. I'm not going to read through all of these, just the ones that do pertain to my character. And for this guy, I'm going to go with the Death World. On Death Worlds, the plants, beasts, and sometimes even the environment itself take aggressive and destructive forms inimical to human life. Whilst exceptionally difficult to colonize, many Death Worlds possess valuable resources that require an outpost or other human presence upon the planet's surface to harvest. These harsh environments result in some of the hardiest and most resilient populations in the galaxy. Those tested and found wanting die young. So one of our features is Survival Instinct. Once per combat, when the wounds of a Death World character drop below 30%, they gain plus 20% of their maximum wounds as temporary wounds. Death World characters also gain a plus 20% bonus to dodge and armor while they have at least one temporary wound from any source. And some of our modifiers are plus 5 to strength. We'll read these once we get later into the character creation. Plus 5 to agility. Minus 5 to fellowship hurts us a little bit for the build I'm going for, but we'll make up for it. Plus 5 to toughness, and minus 5 to intelligence. Then some of our talents. Brutal Hunter. Death World characters gain plus 15% critical hit chance against targets with a bleeding effect, or with 50% or less of their maximum wounds. Trusty Weapons. Death World characters gain plus 10% to critical hit chance for axes, hammers, and last weapons, or laser weapons. Wounded Beast. Every injury increases the Death World character's agility and willpower by plus 5. Every trauma counts as 3 injuries. Hellish Life. Death World characters take toughness bonus, less damage from flame, toxic damage, and bleeding effects. And Tenacity. Once per combat, when a Death World character is suffering from the stunned, blinded, or immobilized condition, this condition is ignored, and they instead gain plus 20% temporary wounds to their maximum wounds. Now we get to choose our origin, and to match our portrait, I'm going to go with the Commissar. I do want to point out some of the outfits. In fact, I think all the outfits are pretty awesome, except for the Priest. I am a particular fan of the Crime Lord and the Noble. But they're all fantastic. Except for, again, the Priest. It's a little goofy. Alright, so the Commissar. Commissars of the Officio Perfectus are ruthless officers charged with maintaining the morale, discipline, and fighting spirit of their Astra Militarum regiment. Used to be one of these faithful servants of the God Emperor, a living symbol of Imperium authority, regarded with a mix of fear and awe by their subordinates. And I know that my beard doesn't match my character's portrait. Think of it as my portrait being the official portrait for my character in the Astra Militarum. But he's, let himself go a bit. Alright, so features. At all costs. The Commissar's next single shot or single target melee attack applies the following effects. Enemy target. The target becomes marked. The ally who kills the marked enemy gains an additional turn after the current one with plus 2 AP, or action points, and plus 4 MP, or movement points. Or we can target an ally. Our allies gain an additional plus 1 AP and plus 3 MP for the next round. It can only be used once per combat. The Commissar themselves cannot gain bonuses from this ability. Then our characteristic modifiers are plus 5 to our weapon skill and plus 5 to fellowship. And skill modifiers, plus 5 to coercion and plus 5 to athletics. And later on we'll get plus 5 to fellowship and plus 10 to coercion. And our talents, duty and honor. While the Commissar's ally is under the effects of at all costs, the ally suffers plus 50% damage but gains plus 2 AP and plus 4 MP. instead of plus 1 AP and plus 3 MP. Show them contempt. While the Commissar is adjacent to an enemy, other allies gain resolve. I'm not going to read the formulas. Motivation. Anytime the Commissar grants additional movement points to any ally character, they give plus 2 movement points more. Summary execution. If the Commissar kills the target with at all costs, they can use at all costs once more this combat for 0 AP. And for the Emperor. When momentum is less than 100 points, killing the marked enemy or targeting an ally grants momentum. Triumph. So this is part of our background. I'm going to go with Illustrious Glory. Your name has become a synonym for loyalty and valor, and your visage has adorned many Imperial Guard propaganda posters. In other words, we're a hero of the Imperium. And I think Shadow of Torment is the most apt for a Commissar, because Commissars are often killed by the regiments they're assigned to. You were attacked by a group of renegade guardsmen during a mutiny and were beaten half to death. And now for our class, or archetype. So my plan is to start with Officer, and then work to Vanguard, and then Exemplar. So the Officer. Officers use their willpower and fellowship to improve the combat capabilities of their allies, turning them into even greater threats on the battlefield. For focus, extra turns, single target buffs, rescuing allies, and momentum. Keystone features, bring it down. The Officer immediately grants an ally an extra turn with action points equal to 2 and no movement points. If the ally is under the effects of Voice of Command and kills an enemy before the end of the Officer's turn, the ally gains a one-time additional momentum. Voice of Command. The Officer forces an ally to fully push themselves, increasing their characteristics by +5, +2, the formula, for 1 round. Additionally, all of the Officer's abilities can be applied to the target of Voice of Command from any distance. A character becomes the target of Voice of Command cannot be targeted by this ability again for the next 2 rounds. And ultimate abilities, Finest Hour. The Officer grants an ally an extra turn with full AP and MP. During the extra turn, there is no attack limit. And Finest Hour. The Officer grants an ally an extra turn with full AP and MP. During the extra turn, there is no attack limit. Until the end of combat, the Officer's fellowship is halved. And then primary characteristics for this class, or archetype: fellowship, willpower, toughness, weapon skill, and ballistic skill. And the skills are persuasion, commerce, coercion, carouse, and lore. We'll read Vanguard once we unlock it, and we'll also read all these other features once we get to that point. Alright, let's read all of our skills and then features, yeah, sorry. Alright, so weapon skill. Weapon skill reflects a character's competence in all forms of close combat. It increases their parry and reduces enemy parry and dodge chance against melee attacks. It also increases chances of scoring a critical hit in melee combat. Ballistic skill. Reflects a character's accuracy with all forms of ranged weapons. A high ballistic skill indicates that a character is a Deadeye, someone to be feared in a gunfight or skirmish. The base hit chance for ranged attacks within a weapon's effective range is 30 plus ballistic skill. Strength. Describes how physically strong a character is. It affects the damage a character inflicts with melee weapons, and allows them to lift heavier objects. For each bonus point of strength, characters deal 1 additional damage with melee weapons. It also affects the athletics skill. Toughness. Defines how easily a character can shrug off injuries, as well as how easily they can resist toxins, poisonous environments, diseases, and other physical ailments. It increases the chances of resisting negative physical effects and the amount of a character's wounds. For each bonus point of toughness, characters gain plus 10% wounds. It also affects the carouse skill. Agility. Measures a character's quickness, reflexes, and poise. High agility allows a character to manipulate delicate explosives with finesse, or to keep their footing when crossing treacherous terrain. It improves a character's initiative, dodge chance, and reaction. If a character uses a melee weapon, their dodge reduction is equal to half of their agility. It also affects the demolition skill. Intelligence is a measurement of the character's acumen, reason, and knowledge. It also affects the Lore Imperium, Lore Warp, Lore Xenos, Logic, Medikai, and Tech Use skills. Perception describes how well a character perceives their surroundings. Characters with high perception can pick out a stray bolter shell casing in between the day-to-day morass of an underhive, or even tell when someone is being deceitful. It also affects the awareness skill and reduces enemy dodge chance against a character's attacks. Willpower reflects a character's ability to withstand the horrors of warp, the terrors of space, and the dreadful opponents they are bound to encounter in the Coronos Expanse. High willpower allows characters to exert control over a crowd or interrogate a heretic. It also increases the chances of resisting negative mental effects and psychic powers. And Fellowship represents a character's ability to interact with other creatures, to deceive, charm, or befriend them. High Fellowship will help a character find a way to approach a gathering of unsociable servants or to effortlessly make deals with treacherous merchants. It also affects the Persuasion, Coercion, and Commerce skills. So I'm going to put points into Weapon skill, because I will be focusing on melee. And Fellowship. And then Strength and Toughness. Okay, so Athletics. This skill is affected by the Strength characteristic. It represents a character's ability to traverse difficult terrain, for example, to leap over collapsed sections of the deck or climb over slippery rocks. Awareness is affected by Perception. It encompasses the subconscious ability to react to things that the conscious mind may not perceive. Awareness allows a character to notice traps, cleverly hidden objects, secret passages, and unusual or suspicious elements in the environment. Carouse is affected by Toughness. It represents the ability to resist negative effects applied by some poisons, stimulators, or alcohol. May give access to new dialogue options. Coercion, affected by Fellowship. It represents a character's talent to manipulate other people through intimidation and reach their desired goals via threats and pressure during dialogue. Commerce, affected by Fellowship. It represents a character's business sense and their ability to make profitable bargains. May give access to new dialogue options. Demolition, affected by Agility. It is used to deactivate traps. It also allows the use of explosives to blast containers open or break through closed doors and block passages. Logic, affected by Intelligence. It makes a character's rational arguments more convincing and allows to notice any logical inconsistencies in other people's words. Also, it helps to operate conjugators more efficiently. May give access to new dialogue options. Lore Imperium, affected by Intelligence. Reflects a character's understanding of the Imperium's tenets, history, and structure. May give access to new dialogue options. Lore Warp, affected by Intelligence. Represents knowledge about the nature of warp entities and their twisted physical manifestations. May give access to new dialogue options. Lore Xenos, affected by Intelligence. It represents knowledge of the alien species known to the Imperium, the threat they pose, and their general appearance. May give access to new dialogue options. Also can be used to disable traps of Xenos origin. That last sentence is a very important detail. It's not touched on anywhere else, it seems. Medikai, affected by Intelligence. It is essential to detect and cure injuries that characters suffer in combat. It also increases the number of wounds restored by medikits and allows the use of higher quality medikits. A high Medikai value also assists in healing old injuries before they would turn into traumas. Persuasion, affected by fellowship. It represents a character's talent to manipulate other people through negotiation. It allows a character to reach their desired goals in dialogues by making good impressions and peacefully convincing others to agree with their point. And tech use, affected by perception. It represents a character's ability to use or repair complex mechanical items. A high-tech use value enables a character to even be able to fathom the workings of unknown technical artifacts. It also can be used to open doors or containers and hack conjugators. And our Void Ship. Sword Class Frigate. We'll change the name here in a moment. The Sword Class Frigate is a classic combat ship design, proven in thousands of battles, combining decent firepower, high speed, and respectable survivability. Dimensions: 1.6 kilometers in length, 0.3 kilometers abeam at the fins approximately, mass 6 megatons approximately, and crew 26,000 approximately. The Von Valancius flagship is the mightiest void ship belonging to the Von Valancius dynasty. Every system aboard this frigate has been tried and tested in innumerable engagements. Its weapons and turrets deliver hard-hitting volleys with pinpoint accuracy. Its plasma drives are rugged yet reliable in extreme conditions. The flagship's size and maneuverability are perfect for pursuing smaller, faster raiders, and for hunting the countless pirates, Xenos and heretics in the Coronis Expanse. Numerous Von Valancius rogue traders have acknowledged the exceptional performance of this vessel, and with a few minor updates, the flagship has continued to faithfully serve the Von Valancius dynasty. We'll change our name to Starshield. Here's our rogue trader. Let's change our name to Donald, which is the Gaelic version of my name, which means leader of the people, which is very fitting for a Commissar Officer. And I'm going to pretend he's from a Celtic death world. Unless the game gives us another origin, in which case we'll go with that, of course, but we'll see. Here's our character. Next time, we'll jump into the campaign proper and begin our adventure through the Coronis Expanse. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.